Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Little Pot of Horrors. As always, I am Goggs, and as always, I am joined by the lovely Mr. Boz. Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good wherever you are, whenever you are.
How are you today, sir?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm in fine voice and fairly good health.
Which is good.
I'm doing good for me. How about you, sir?
I'm here. I'm slightly shaken from a suggested viewing which you gave me for this episode, which we shall get into later.
Yeah, people may have seen this on Twitter, and I did make the suggestion on Twitter that possibly maybe you're too sensitive for this line of work.
There are just certain times where I watch it and I'm gonna go, oh, okay, okay, I just watched that, okay. So
I'm not going to feel guilty. You started me off with martyrs, for fuck's sake. But the funny thing is, I totally didn't realise that it would be at all. So we'll get to that later anyway.
Yeah, yes, we will. It's a little teaser for you people. Before we do anything, I am going to keep Pablo happy and finally get to his feedback. So we have got 2 pieces of feedback from Pablo now. As promised in the last show. Was it the last show? I can't remember from the week.
Yes, we did promise last time.
Yes, we did promise last time that we'll do it. So I'll take a piece and then you can take the Evil Dead one.
Yay, okay, cool.
Okay, but I'll just jump into his episode 5 feedback and stuff. Hey guys, great show as always. I haven't finished listening to it yet, but something made me want to get in touch now. I'm all up for you guys spoiling the hell out of the movies you talk about. Maybe I'm in a unique situation as I'm probably never ever going to watch them, but at least that way I can imagine the whole thing in the relative safety of my own mind. As for me, it's a less traumatizing way of watching horror movies. I love some of the ideas in those movies, and I enjoy hearing you guys telling the whole story from start to finish, as you've done before. Now that's something I think we need to talk about, is spoilers.
Yes.
He's got a bit of a point. But that's a conversation we'll have to have, and maybe see if we can get more feedback from people as to whether they prefer us to spoil.
Yeah, we need the counterpoint to that. If you're like, no, stop spoiling movies.
Yeah, and then we'll kind of see what the general consensus is.
Yeah, I mean, because we could, if we're doing a brief summary of a film and we want to get to the spoilerific stuff, then maybe we do just put in to ape the good friends of mine at the Black Dog podcast, a spoiler warning, spoiler zone, basically, where they say, bugger off and come back in 10 minutes.
Yes. We do need to work on that, because there are some movies I'd like to talk about more, but we don't get the chance to.
Well, very often, especially with horror movies, because they're very much built on the twist very often, or the thing you're not expecting. That is often one of the major talking points for said film. So if you can't talk about that or what leads up to that, then you're left with very little to say on a podcast about it. So if you don't enter spoilers, then you are limiting, what you can say about things. But by the same token, there are a lot of films like that where I want people, that is awesome, everybody go and see it now. You know? So it's a difficult one, and we would appreciate feedback on that point if people would like to chip in.
Yes, please do. And he writes that, I'm sure some people would hate it if you do spoil them, so maybe it's something extra you can add at the end or something. Or just ignore me and carry on as you were. We're not going to ignore you, sir. Actually, when you started talking about Troll Hunter, I was all like, wait, don't talk about that one. I might be just about brave enough to watch it. So,
it's a monster movie, it's not a horror movie, go watch it.
He does mention that in his feedback, by the way, boys. It's not a horror film because it's got fantasy. So, yeah, surely the creature doesn't necessarily define the genre. Otherwise, the Addams Family must be one of the scariest horror films, as it's got tons of monsters. Little winky at the end of that sentence. Not Blair... that was a very pirate of me. Not Blair Witch projectile vomit coming out of my mouth. Sick-inducing pile of terrible camera shake. Yeah, I was at the edge of my seat, but only so I wouldn't throw up on my own clothes. That's how sick I felt. I'll give you that. The last scene is awesome, and I also like the one with the stick dolls hanging from the trees. But other than that, I think it's very overrated. I didn't think it was too... Sorry? I didn't think it was too shaky.
I didn't either. I'm wondering if it's maybe it's a Spanish thing.
Really?
Just upset a load of listeners. Lo siento. No, just because Lavinia hates the shaky cam as well. And she goes, oh, I'm dizzy. Oh, I feel sick. And I'm like, I just don't even notice. I don't know what it is. It's just a brain thing. Some people hate it, and other people just don't even notice.
Yeah, I don't even remember paying attention to it in Blair Witch. I know it's there, but it didn't bother me in the way that Cloverfield bothered me at times. But
None of them bother me, even at the cinema. Just, yeah, fine. But I like roller coasters and going fast, so maybe it's just a brain difference thing.
It possibly is. Okay, so now I've finished listening to the episode and I enjoyed it very much. But as a final piece of feedback, it'd be awesome if you guys could release episodes a bit more frequently, even if they were shorter as a result. You've got content for 2 separate episodes in each one, so it should be easy enough to find a point to which to split them. Anyway, sorry for the long email, and I hope you won't take my feedback the wrong way. I love the show, and I mean everything in a constructive way, or just as my own opinion, which is just that, an opinion like any other. Keep up the good work. Death Clock rules. Pablo.
He would normally say that Death Clock rules. Is how he says that. Just to context it, yeah.
Thank you, Pablo. We're not taking any feedback we receive the wrong way. Trust us. We enjoy all the feedback that we get, and all suggestions are appreciated.
Yeah, we don't get enough feedback to take exception to any of it.
Exactly. So yeah, if you hate us, come on, bring it in, balance it out a little bit. But I would love to release shows more frequently if we could. It is just a complete timing thing as to when we get to record and what happens in the space of life as to how long I could sit and do them. I mean, I think we released the last 3 episodes I got out in the space of 10 days.
Yeah.
So that should have kept people going. I could have held that off for like 6 weeks. Quite easily we could have held that off for like 6 weeks. But I had them all ready to go, and I was excited and wanted to get them out there to people, because I know we go sometimes 3 weeks without releasing one. But I try every 2 weeks to have something out to you where we can get together and record. So
I've noticed the trick, though, is to get you excited about something, and then you can't wait to get it out.
Yes.
Oh, God, I've just realised if you clip that audio out of context, it sounds terrible. Oh, shit. Sorry.
It's gonna be one of those shows, folks. But no, so I would love to, if we could. I mean, if we were probably in the same country and didn't have kids all running around and all that stuff, we'd probably record a hell of a lot more and
speak for yourself.
Do more time. But yeah, possibly. Or I'd love to anyway. But yeah, so
no, I meant as in kids running around. Not that I didn't want.
All right, okay. But yeah, so you're just going to have to bear with us, and they come out when they come out, and we're sporadic, shall we say. But thank you for that feedback, Pablo, and apologies that it's taken us since March to get that out. Only 2 months, so
it's not too bad.
Yeah, I can tick that one off the list now. Red.
We did get another one in between the those emails from somebody called Tomi Kerminen. I probably pronounced that really badly. And this one says, "Hi there, greetings from Finland." I'm assuming that's a typo. Sorry, I shouldn't do that to people, should I? That's really mean. Greetings from Finland. Please let me know if you could do some kind of promotion/review screening for the movie. I finished this macabre film in December 2012. Then goes on to list the film and give us links to it. Unfortunately, we've both been a little bit too disorganised to watch it yet. So I just wanted to say we have received your email and we are going to give it the time it deserves, basically. So we will come back to that another week. I just wanted to register the fact that you sent us something. And
yes, we do have it, and thank you.
It did arrive, yeah.
Yes, and if anybody else has anything like that, do send it to us, and we'll try and get to it at some point, or briefly watch it and talk about it.
All I would say is if you are a horror writer and you've done a book and it's available on Kindle or something like that, and you want an opinion, I'm afraid I'm the slowest. I don't read, period. I don't have time to read. If I could get my Kindle app to read to me, like I can get my phone to read emails to me, that might be a different matter. But I've got about 5 books I really want to read, but I'm shit at allocating time for reading. It just doesn't happen. So I think Gordon's your man for that more.
Yes. And I've got like 3 on my Kindle that I have to read. So
if you've got an audiobook version, I'm all up for it. So there we are. So, the next email from Pablo. Oh, we got it in 2 colours. Cool. He's put, "Hey guys, that was an awesome episode. That's exactly the kind of safe watching horror films in my head thing that I was talking about in my other email. Now I feel like I've watched the film and I know what happens in it without putting myself through the intensity and the horror. It's horror for wusses, but it's the only horror I can go anywhere near." So, fair. I'm glad we were useful.
Yes.
Because we really just go all out on that one. We may have got some of it in the wrong order, but we did sort of explore every angle and every depravity of that movie. So
We tried to, yes.
yes. Also, interestingly, I watched the trailer for this right before listening to the episode, prompted by the trailer you played at the start, which made it a much closer experience, as I could put faces to some of the names, and I knew what the cabin looked like and the visual style of the movie. It wasn't too scary or in-your-face a trailer, so it didn't traumatise me either, hehe. I think I'll do the same in future similar episodes. Okay, I'm going to challenge you, Pablo. I want you to watch the Red Band trailer for Evil Dead and see if you can handle that.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of trailer he actually watched. It didn't traumatise you? Or too
it was the
scary or in your
standard
face?
trailer.
The Wussies trailer. That's
Yeah,
what that one was.
If you load the trailer and it has a big green screen, that's not the one you want if you're looking at horror trailers. If it has a big red screen, that's the one you want to be watching.
Oh yeah, the Red Band trailers are the one that get you excited.
They are brilliant. Anyway, I really enjoyed this kind of format. It didn't matter that you jump back and forth a bit. Yeah, sorry about that. It's what happens when you're talking about a movie with friends. But everything made sense, so it didn't matter. And it was a good thing it was long, because you could take your time explaining each scene, where other times you're trying to cover the whole movie in 5 minutes, and it's much less clear what happens. Yeah, very often we just forget to sum up the plot at all.
Yeah,
we just go, I love that bit and that bit. He said, so yeah, I would love to hear more episodes like this one. Keep up the good work. And P.S. don't worry, you did warn that you were going to spoil the hell out of the movie at the start. And on a side note, I'm starting to worry about how much you seem to enjoy watching such horrible things. I stopped worrying about that years ago, sir. I've just accepted that's who I am now.
Yeah.
You realise you've crossed the line when you're sitting there, something happens and somebody's face gets ripped off and you weren't expecting it, and your reaction is not to put your hands over your face. You go, ha, cool! Which is what I do, and people just think I'm very strange because of that, so, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the movies that I'm going to talk about that I watched, that happened, and I was like, oh, look, that's an awesome scene.
Yeah, exactly. I giggle first, I go, that was cool, and then I go, wow, look at the prosthetics on that.
I don't know, it's obviously a genetics thing, or something.
Now, should I read the next one, or react to the next one?
Oh, which next? Oh, God. Which next one?
This is a Facebook comment we received.
I think you should react to that one, because I haven't posted anything on this. So it is, if it's the same one we're talking to. As usual, people, we are really prepared for this.
Sorry.
But it's the one about apartment 143, isn't it?
It is that one, yes.
Okay.
I'll let you read it, sir.
Yes. So, Anthony posted on our Facebook page, and thank you, sir. And I haven't commented deliberately so that we could talk about this on the show.
Yeah, me too.
Just watched Apartment 143 with my eldest daughter as a part of our Tuesday night horror movie viewing, which is awesome. I want to do that with my kids. I have Tuesday night with boys' night with my son, but he's a wuss, so he won't watch, as I've said before. So my two girls are all horror ones, so that's what I have to start doing with them at some time. Typical ghost story with some poorly executed and predictable ghost story tropes and cliches. There's a poor story behind it, and many of the jump moments had you thinking, that would have been better if they had done this instead. It also has a resolution where one of the main investigators was asking the lead investigator how long he had known what was going on. I think we were also supposed to know by that point what had been going on, but they just hadn't really explained it very well. Lots of shaky cam and handheld camera work, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, provided you aren't constantly thinking to yourself, who's filming this bit? Also, scenes that should be done in a single take from the mounted on the wall camera keep jumping where they edited the scene or cut some dialogue. Piss poor, really.
I am outnumbered, but I'm still going to disagree. I take this point by point, if I may.
Go ahead, sir. You have your defence.
It's a typical ghost story with some poorly executed and predictable ghost story tropes and cliches. Okay, poorly executed, I dispute. Predictable ghost story tropes and cliches, absolutely. That's why I liked it. I don't always want somebody... When I watch a movie, I don't want people trying to be too clever. Because very often they try to be too clever and it falls flat on its face. So, yeah, I knew that when the strobe thing is going around the room, that the first two, nothing would happen. On the third time, something would freak you out. But where they took it from there was a little bit different. I thought it wasn't just blink, scare, go away. It was like, there she is, and she destroys the entire room. Spoilers, so I've done it again. I really like that side of it. And like I said at the time when we reviewed it, the camera placement stuff I thought was really good. And the fact it jumped around and it traced things from one camera to another, and the cameras moved because they detect motion. What's wrong with that? It's not shaky cam the whole time because you've got some mounted on the wall. So it's a good... You're intercutting between the two. It doesn't piss off the audience too much. And who's filming this? Well, there were 3 investigators, so it was one of them.
Yeah. I can see his point, though, because there was cuts that didn't need to be cuts. Or, for me anyway, that was like, hey, you've got this really good position camera on the wall, so if you're doing an interview with the guy, why don't you just do the proper interview and let that camera shot cover it? Why do you have to jump to a handheld camera which is sitting about 2 feet away from him, so you get some sort of close-up in the face and all that crap? And that I didn't like that kind of stuff. Because it was like, why are you cutting there? There's no need to cut there. Just give us the whole scene and we can see what's going on. You don't need an in-your-face shot. But
I'll have to concede that then, because my basis is, if I'm watching, especially a found footage thing, and it's edited together, if none of the cuts jar... I mean, this comes in because I make a little bit of video as part of my job, and I was talking to my friend the other week about this, that you spend so long trying to make things so that nobody notices. Yeah? So your triumph as an editor is you do something very, very clever that took you hours, nobody notices it. But if you hadn't done a good job of it, it would have stuck out like a sore thumb. So I guess if people are noticing that cut is uncomfortable, that shot is unnecessary, then, well, clearly they can't have done a very good job of it because the two of you have noticed the same thing. For me, I didn't find any of it jarring enough to take me out of the film and think, oh, that wasn't very well done. Because the minute a film does that to me, it's lost its magic.
Yeah.
And a lot of films do that, unfortunately. But
I know with this one, when we talked about it, that I had said, I think the one thing that really threw me out of the whole setup and the whole jumping around was the camera that was positioned outside the building.
Yeah.
That's, I think when I first saw that and I had questions going in my head that it just kept running in my head, nah, I'm not buying this whole, we've got everything all set up and it's all, we're catching every angle, and it's like, who got that up there? How did they get that up there? You didn't see them putting that one up there.
It was a fire escape.
Yeah, but I didn't quite buy the whole fire escape type thing though. So
we've been through this.
I know we've been through this,
because the whole apartment was shaking and shit was happening. So they're filming the outside of the building to see if what's happening inside affects the outside as well.
But they didn't play on that one though. The only time they showed you was, from what I can remember anyway, is
poltergeist. What the hell was that? Sorry.
Yeah, but nobody looked outside the building. I don't remember seeing any shots outside the building when something was going on inside the building. Was there?
No.
It was only they showed it outside the building when they were going outside to bitch about something or talk about it or whatever.
Yeah, it was. But
so,
they had to do that to fill out the... Okay, fine. We're never going to agree on this one.
We're not.
Okay. If anyone backs me up on Apartment 143, which I would like to add is now available on Netflix...
Oh, is it? Oh,
yes,
yeah,
it is.
I've watched it. It's in the Netflix US, so that's what I saw.
Yeah, it's now available Netflix UK, so it is on there. If you've got Netflix, go watch it, tell me what you thought.
Yes.
Because I thought it was quite a good little movie, but...
It did have some good jumps in it.
It did.
But
and the bit about
yes,
supposed to know what he knows, no, not at all. Because it's a surprise where he goes, oh, you knew this all along. I'm like, did you? You smart ass. I never realised that. I don't think we were supposed to know what he thought was going on at all, but that's just my impression.
Don't you just love horror? That's just why I love it, because it's so divisive.
Absolutely.
So it is. Especially on these kind of found footage type ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there we are with the feedback section, people. We got there. Yay!
Sorry it took so long.
Yeah, we're now completely caught up, so that means you can start sending more. Please.
Yay. Please, yep.
Please do. We do appreciate it. And honestly, if you don't agree, just tell us you don't agree with what we're doing. If the format of the show is wrong, or you want to see us doing something more, or better, or shorter, or longer, or whatever, please tell us. I'm not going to take it personally.
Well, I might, but he won't.
We won't cut you over, and I can assure you we don't delete feedback, we don't ignore feedback, or we might just delay it, but we don't delete anything or anything like that. Trust me. Honest. Crossing my fingers and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Why am I crossing my fingers when I'm saying that? Because that means I'm... No, anyway. Just trust. I meant to say cross my heart, not my fingers, people.
Should we talk about the little talking about the format of the show? We've come up with something we want to add to the format of the show because we've spent a lot of episodes apologising about it, and
Yes.
this came up in episode 1 or even our pre-episode, I think, in that there's a certain thing you have to accept to the horror movie genre, and that is the use of boobs. Okay,
Yes.
and we've always thought we come across a little bit misogynistic, possibly talking about them, and we've always been conscious of that. But all it is just one of those things you have to take in your stride when you're watching horror movies. But we decided, why be ashamed of it? Well, we should really embrace it, I think, because it really is part of the genre. And as such, we've not really done ratings up to now with our movies. We're not really so much. Occasionally we say, oh, it's a 3 out of 5 movie, whatever. We don't make a point of rating our movies.
Yeah.
But I think it's time we did introduce a rating system. And as such, this week we came up with the boobometer. Or the boobometer, depending on how you want to call it.
Yes. Which side of the pond that you're on, I'm not sure.
So, just to, contextualise the films we're talking about, it will get wherever we remember to do it, we will try and give it a boobometer rating out of 10.
Yes. And one of the movies that we will be talking about today, the boobometer will get brought up.
Yes.
So it will, or the chance of, and we can talk about how the movie would have been better if it had rated on the boobometer scale.
Yes.
Or two. And I think we need to get a little ding 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 or something like that, I don't know.
Sure, it'll be a boing boing boing.
Oh, let's just have Benny Hill running around in the background, shall we?
Actually, you could do that in the edit when I'm talking, introducing that section, just fade it up slowly in the background.
Oh, if only I'm that clever.
So, sorry, we are embracing it now. That's it. It's done.
Yes. And I think you're quite right. We have to. We can't not talk about it.
Exactly.
Especially when it's a movie that calls out for boobs.
Yeah.
Not all horror movies do. Martyrs does not call out for a boob scene.
It would be wholly inappropriate.
Yes.
So,
Whereas the movie, I'll just jump straight into this movie.
yeah, what have you been watching, Gordon?
The movie that would have been better, as you had previously stated, with a boob scene, would have been the new release of Texas Chainsaw.
Oh, you've seen it.
Yes, I did. I got some Amazon gift card for my birthday, and I chose to spend some of it on Texas Chainsaw.
Renting or buying?
Renting.
Oh, okay, that was
I
safe
don't
bet.
tend to buy a horror movie just outright,
No, I don't.
because I think that's a huge gamble. Unless it's like $5,
Mm.
that might be okay. I can take it. But
So how much do you hate double-sided sticky tape now?
I mean, seriously, it should have scored fairly highly on the boobometer, or the boobometer, but it was just ridiculous. I don't see what's the point in almost giving you the shot.
Mm.
Just rip the whole shirt off, or give you the side, or something. It's just like, don't tease. That's just ridiculous. We're not in a PG-13 situation here.
Yeah.
We're in an R-rated situation. If your actress doesn't want to get them out, then say, sorry darling, this is the role, you're going to get them out. You want the job or not? Personally. Not that I'm saying that, hey, they have to be there because we are so misogynistic and all that stuff, and oh yeah, boobs are awesome and all that. But it kind of, you don't toy with it. It's like, if you're going to kill someone, show the kill.
Yeah.
Don't do the off-camera cut and then come back and all the blood on the ground. No, you want to see what the intention is.
I mean, if you're doing a thriller, fine. But if you're doing a horror movie,
Yeah.
they're the scenes you don't pull back from because
Exactly.
they're expected. That's what.
Yes. It's the whole part of the cliche, and you're not making a movie which is trying to break those cliches. You're living up to every cliche that's there
Yes.
with the damn movie.
Mm.
And okay, I know if you're trying to keep it consistent with the rest of the franchise, I don't think there's ever been any boobs in the movies that I've watched. Anyway, of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, the remakes, the reboots, the prequels, and all that stuff. That there hasn't been any.
Don't
There
think
hasn't
so.
really been any sex scenes. There hasn't really been any
No.
boobies. There's been none of that stuff. So I guess it keeps it in line, and you're maybe not trying to break away from that stuff. But there's been nothing so blatantly obvious, really. Is like, oh look, here's a little half one and a little half one, and yeah, come on, ridiculous. And why the hell would she run around with a shirt just buttoned at one button and left? What? Come on, seriously. Anyway,
like apart from that, was the film any good, Gordon?
You know what? It was what, a 90-minute movie. It dragged a bit. There was no real tension, and I think they released the kind of not the scares, but the kind of twist in the story a little bit too soon.
Right.
For me, because I think we're like half an hour into it, and boom, okay, here's the premise, and then we've got a whole hour of trying to kill these 4 people, or what it is, go through it, and that was just too long. I think it just dragged out ridiculously long. I think it was very poorly made for me in some scenes, that which is completely unrealistic as to what was happening. Yeah, I know we're talking about a guy running around with a chainsaw, but the whole scene in the carnival where he was like 4 feet away from her, and it was like there's not a chance that would have happened. She could have been miles away from that, and everything just could be a bit more realistic. There was no realism in it. Which again, I know we're talking about a guy running around with a fucking 6-foot chainsaw.
But I did like the way it tied into the old movie. I thought they did a good job of that.
The beginning was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really, really well done. And you got all your rednecks and stuff coming round, and the scary part is I was watching that going, you know what? I could see that happening round here. Which is kind of worrying. But it's when you kind of know the stereotype and you kind of know the attitudes in the small town community and all that stuff when you live in it. It's like, seriously, people, there are people like that. There are people that are literally above the law, and you can see them, the police officers going, you know what, I'm never going to win this one, so we're just going to let it happen.
Yeah. Those
guys should have all been locked up for what they did, but they're all running around and, hey, one of them's mayor.
Yeah.
What the fuck? So there's a lot of stuff it's scary that I can see that stuff kind of happening. It was it was 2 stars maybe out of 5. I didn't think it went too over the top in the 3D-ness. So I don't think you have to watch it in 3D to get the benefits of it. There are obviously some scenes where you can see, that was deliberately aimed for seeing a chainsaw coming at you.
Like I said,
throwing the chainsaw at you, and that would have been awesome in the cinema watching that in 3D. Holy fuck, here comes a chainsaw.
Yeah.
That would have been great to watch in the 3D. But I don't think it loses any impact in the 2D world for me. Is it a necessary movie? No. Does it really add anything to the overall story? No. I don't. I'm hoping that we've now killed it. We've done all we can with Texas Chainsaw.
I doubt it made enough money to justify another one, to be honest.
I don't think it had a lot of money put into it to begin with. I think it made most of the money they threw towards the 3D.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the shots and a lot of the acting and all that stuff is pretty woody. And it looked as though some of the smaller independent movies that I've watched, and you can see just the kind of money they're playing with and the cameras that they're using and everything like that. It just had that kind of feel to it. A kind of small independent movie feel to it.
Maybe they were just trying to keep it close to the original in that respect, though.
Possibly. But there's a lot of things that just didn't work for me. But let's say 2 stars. I mean, it had some pretty good death scenes in it. The chainsaw was put to good use, which is what you expect.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and it only gets a 1 on the boober meter, I think.
You're lucky if it even gets rated on there. So it is.
If we do it out of 10, then side boob has to qualify. So
okay, yes, okay, we can give it a 1. As usual, when you're putting the slut in there, yeah, you don't expect to see the slut in a bra.
No, exactly. Case in point.
Yeah.
The main heroine I can kind of understand, because she'll be a slightly bigger name. She wants to leave. She wants this film to make her career and not pigeonhole her into horror. And I don't know, for some reason in Hollywood, if you do something frivolous like that and get them out, then somehow you are thought less of, and it damages your career going forward. So I kind of understand that. But when the one who you expect to be doing that. He was clearly set up for that throughout the whole. The slut is always set up the same way in these movies. It's like, but no, hold on.
Yeah,
we should be scoring at least a 4. At least a 4.
Exactly. Like I say, I'm not knocking it on the. I'm not. I wouldn't say it would get an extra star because of that. I would still keep it as a 2 and a 5. But as a horror movie, which should be well played in, that should have been put into it. They made a They didn't make a mistake by doing that, because then we really do sound misogynistic. But it's if you're going to go with all the cliches and all that stuff, come on.
You should be at least hitting a 4 on the boober meter, exactly. So.
Do it properly. Don't hold back. That's one that I don't think is too scary that kids would get scared in. Really, because there's not too much grossness in it. It's. I don't know. I don't know what I was going with.
I don't know. Meat hooks and kids. I'm not sure it's a good combination.
Yeah, possibly not.
That might be a step too far.
Yeah.
Too early.
Speaking of kids and meat hooks and stuff, not really meat hooks, but I'm thinking more chains. I watched a movie called Chained, which was also an Amazon one that I got on there.
Yeah.
Which is directed by Jennifer Lynch. Now, I don't really have a history with Jennifer Lynch, and I know that some people do, and she's not. From what I've heard, I wouldn't say she's exactly highly regarded for the movies that she's made, with Boxing Helena and Surveillance, being two of the kind of recent ones that's there. So the name meant something. I was like, oh yeah, okay, this could be a bit. I don't know where I'm going with this one, but we'll see. But basically, the premise of it is there's this guy, played by Vincent D'Onofrio. I can't remember how to say his name. So he's basically a serial killer. Okay, who
Mr. Law and Order. Sorry?
Yes, Law and Order. Yeah, that's where he's from. I think that's what it said in the little blurb of it.
Yeah.
But you basically find out that at the beginning of the movie you get a little family, mom, dad, and son, that don't have a huge amount of money. But for some reason, the mom and the son are going to go watch a movie. And the dad's like, okay, take a cab on the way home. I know it's expensive, but I'd rather you be safe and take this cab. Here's all this money for a cab on the way home. You're like, okay, this must be a really bad area that he either lives in or they're going to be going through to spend a lot of money on a cab when you don't. You've already set up the fact that you don't have a lot of money. Get the cab and the usual, oh look, you've driven past our exit.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, the doors are locked. Weird. Comes out into the middle of nowhere. Cabbie comes out, beats the crap out of the mom, leaves the kid. Turns out that what happens is that he brings the kid back with him. I think the mom comes back in as well, I can't remember. Yeah, he brings, or whatever. He brings the mom, I think buries him at his house and brings the kid, and basically says to the kid, okay, you're going to live with me now.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh, okay. And he's like, and you're going to do, these are the rules. You can only eat what I leave on my plate. You will serve me dinner, you will clean the house. When when you hear this bell, you must answer the door within 10 seconds. These kind of rules. If you live by these rules, it's fine. Okay, so obviously the first chance this little kid kind of gets, he tries to run away. So he gets chained to this bed. A hell of a long chain, but he basically sleeps on this mattress in the kitchen. Turns out that this guy is actually a fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
And his cabbie is his ruse. He goes out, does a regular day job, but obviously anybody he particularly likes, he will bring back and then do whatever he does in this room. Rape, kill them, whatever. And then the boy has to clean up and help and all that.
Oh, lovely. So he just abducts himself a little slave?
Basically, yeah. And then I think, I can't remember if it tells you how many years go by, but I want to say it's something like 15 years or something that this kid is brought up in this world. And I wouldn't say, from what you see, this is probably going to sound strange, he doesn't get, it's not as if he tortures the kid or anything like that. I mean, yes.
Well, psychologically he does.
Well, yes, but I mean, he doesn't seem to be like physically beating on him or anything like that, or breaking him down that way. It's like, hey, these are the rules. You live by the rules. You're going to live a decent, I shouldn't say decent life, but you'll get to eat and you get to drink, and if you're lucky, then I'll let you eat something different and bring you treats and watch TV and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then he tries to educate him in the ways of kind of understanding the body and understanding what all the body parts are and all that fun stuff. And
lovely.
and then it kind of takes trying to make him his little protege.
Right.
And obviously, you would think, being brought up with that level of seeing that level of violence, that you might become like that.
Mm.
But the boy seems very, very resistant to turning into that. As long as he can see it, and he fights very hard to go, I'm not going to become that. I'm not going to become that. I'm not going to become that. That's not me. That's not me.
I feel like I should interrupt you because, as a listener here,
This is what I'm stopping.
I want to see this.
This is what I'm stopping.
Okay.
Because it's one of those movies where it all plays out.
Okay.
And then you can make up your own mind from there.
Right. You just sounded like you were getting dangerously close to spoilering there.
Yeah, I did. I could, but I don't really think you can.
Okay. Right.
It's not. I mean, again, it's probably sitting slap bang in the middle, couple of stars, 2.5 stars. It's not a great movie.
Oh.
But it's one I'd actually forgotten I'd watched until I was going back through and looking up my list of everything I'd watched. But it stayed with me for a little while after it.
Yeah.
Kind of just left me on edge on it. So it's an interesting little one.
Okay.
I wouldn't go out and spend any money on it, but if you see it kicking around on Netflix or it's a couple of bucks to watch, then maybe, yeah. But don't spend $4 like I did to watch it.
Okay. Cool.
So that was, I mean, apart from the one that you made me watch.
Didn't make you watch it.
Did make
I suggested you watch it. I
Well-
didn't give you money this time.
No, you didn't give me money this time. That's not true. I mean, do you want to start with this one?
Well, it's movies you've watched, and it bridges the gap between movies you've watched and movies I've watched. So
Yes. So yes,
if this is the end of your list, let's do it now.
Yeah, let's go with the end of my list, and I'll keep it there.
Okay.
This movie that you tweeted me about was, hey, have you seen The Woman? Brilliant film. And I was like, The Woman? I mean, you mean The Woman in Black? And you were like, no, The Woman. And it wasn't on Netflix over here until I think the last week or so.
Yeah, it just popped up.
Yep.
Oh, not that I know that. Yeah, apparently it just popped up.
You know that because I told you.
Yeah.
Shh.
Carry on.
And so I was like, okay, I'll put it on. And basically, the premise of it is, I'll just read the blurb from IMDb because that's about right, although I'm not quite sure some of the wording here. When a successful country lawyer captures and attempts to civilize the last remaining member of a violent clan that has roamed the northeast coast for decades, he puts the lives of his family in jeopardy. Okay, now I didn't know anything about this violent clan that has roamed the northeast coast for decades.
No, it's not in the film at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I missed something, but this movie is based on a book.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the book goes into a lot more details like that. And I guess it might explain why the woman's potentially the way she is. I don't know. Although they kind of set it up a bit like Jungle Book-esque. This is what... If Baloo hadn't came along in the Jungle Book, this is what Mowgli would have turned into. So it's just a very weird way of putting it. But
Yeah.
And this guy is very strange. He's the country town lawyer has a family of 3 kids. An older daughter, a son, and an older daughter's 16, 17. The son's 12 maybe.
I would say
there.
2 kids and leave it at that, actually.
Okay. And then you go into the young daughter, the 5 or 6 year old young daughter that's there. So that's it. So he's a very controlling father, I would say. I don't think he's the kind of dad that you want to piss off. So the wife's I wouldn't say the wife's a very strong woman. Don't know whether she's been beaten down physically or psychologically or whatever.
Yeah, it starts very ambiguous in that regard.
Yeah. And it turns out that obviously him being a country lawyer, or not even just being a lawyer, but being a country guy, he likes his hunting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then comes across one day this woman, who he decides that, hey, you can't be having this savage running around the woods. I'm going to capture her and bring her home and put her in the cellar.
Tied up.
Yes. Okay. which is where it got. This is where it came to me. It was like, okay, we're going to civilize her, and I was like, how are you going to civilize her? And basically, he kind of. Well, after he ties her up, this is the bit that I think I tweeted about. That I'm not going to really spoil it because I have to tell you this. She bites off his finger and eats it,
which is really funny.
And
it's really funny the way they do it.
The sound is excruciating because you hear the crunching of the bone, and I'm sitting there watching this going, she's eating his fucking finger. She's eating his finger. It's like,
yeah,
it's not,
because she's a savage. That didn't bother me at all. Just like, yeah, you put your finger near her mouth, what do you expect?
I know it shouldn't have, but I should have maybe kind of logically put that out of my head, but I was just expecting her to bite it off and spit it out or something like that, which is what you usually see. But no, she, with a big smile on her face, was eating his finger. And it was the bone crunching that I heard. It was really putting me going, oh my god, this woman is a savage. So they basically then civilize her by cleaning her up, not in a very professional manner.
No.
Really. And dressing her up in a dress, making her look a bit Amish.
Yeah.
Or Mormon, I think is the word. Trying to make it be.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously things happen. You could go really into spoiler territories on this one and explain what kind of things happen, and I'm not sure whether we should or not, but...
Well, I don't know, because you're going to talk about how much it disturbed you. How are we going to discuss that if you don't?
Yeah. I think... Okay, I will try and put in the show notes, people, what time frame to jump to here, because I don't know how... I can't say 60 seconds or whatever. This could last for a long time.
Yeah.
So check the show notes, and I will put a time frame for you to jump to if you don't want us to talk about, if you don't want to hear anything that's going to go further, because this is a movie that needs to be talked about, so that I can get across how uncomfortable it made me feel.
All right, spoiler zone. Haha.
Yes. So obviously, then to quickly sum it up, obviously the guy becomes fascinated with this woman because once he's cleaned her up, she's attractive-ish woman.
Now, but he was already... Do you notice when he first spots her in the woods? See, I spotted the kind of man he was at that point. Because he's hunting, and he sees her through his sniper scope on his rifle, and she's washing in the river. And it scores its first point on the booba meter at that point. And he smiles. A really lascivious, creepy little man smile. And at that point I thought, I know your game.
It was kind of obvious that it was going to happen, or something was going to happen, where he would effectively rape her.
Yeah, because the pretense is, oh, we're going to civilize her because it's not right to live like this, and it's like, no, you just want your filthy little way with her. That's all you're thinking about.
Yeah. And this guy's creepy. I mean, this guy plays it creepy. The actor, whatever his name is,
He's really good.
He's a very creepy dude. So he effectively cleans it up and goes, yep, I'm going to rape you, or I've raped you. His wife knows. Hang on. He's becoming fascinated with her. She feels him leaving the bed, then coming back several things later. The son's deranged. You get this from the very first time you see the son. Yeah. Because the son basically watches this girl getting bullied. Maybe not beaten up, but getting bullied by a bunch of other kids, and he doesn't do anything to stop it. He just throws his basketballs in the hoops. He gets beaten by, I'm not sure if it's the same girl or a different girl who beats him at throwing basketballs. They basically are playing a game where you throw to you miss, and he misses and she gets the basket, and hey, she wins. And he's like, oh yeah, you're better. You're better than I am. Congratulations. I'm going to go into the classroom, chew up some gum, put it in your hairbrush, so that when you brush your hair, you're going to get gum in your hair. And then I'm going to act all nice to you. So you know the son's
a little bit fucked up.
Yes. And the son's become obsessed with a woman, so he's put a little peephole in there and watches his father rape the woman, which is weird. And then
she knows he's there as well.
Yeah, she can see him, which is a very strangely weirded peephole. But it's a weird camera shot, but I'm assuming it's logical. I don't know. I haven't quite worked out the camera angles in my head. But the mom knows, hey, something's not right here. And the older daughter's like, hey, something's not right here. We shouldn't be doing this to this woman. Whether it's because it's a woman that's been held up and it's the female aspect of it's coming in going, this isn't right. I'm not comfortable with this. Let's just put an end to it. But we don't challenge Daddy.
No.
And we find out that we don't challenge Daddy when we find out that on a half day from school or something, the son comes home, doesn't realise that his pregnant sister is home from school. And he comes home, takes the chores, but basically goes to the cellar, and we later find out is you get some weird screams hearing from it, and you see some weird movements with the pliers and some blood, but you don't quite know what's going on. And then the sister checks it out. You get a scene with the woman's dress is obviously ripped down. You see that the pliers were obviously being stabbed into her or ripping off her nipple or doing whatever.
That was weird. Yeah.
And then when the dad comes home, you actually find out that while this was happening, he was touching himself.
Yes. Like father, like son.
Yes. And the mom's like, that's it. I'm done. Fuck
Last
you.
straw.
Yep. Not going to happen. And the dad's like, come on, he's a boy, he'll be normal. And the mom's like, nope. He's like, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you. To which there's some uncomfortable violence towards the mother.
Yeah.
And this guy's real side comes out. And just so happens at that time, teacher from school who's worried about the daughter comes home as well. And then she's
twigged that the girl's pregnant.
Yep. Wants to explain it to her daddy. Her daddy's
Yeah.
like, well, I know she's not got a boyfriend. Are you accusing my son? Are you accusing me? And the woman's like, oh my fucking god.
I really should not have come here.
Yes.
I'm just going to leave.
And he doesn't let her leave because he inflicts violence on her.
And at that point, all your suspicions that the baby is his are confirmed. So you realise at this point he is an incestuous motherfucker as well.
Yeah.
So you really want him dead at this point.
And then it becomes an incredibly uncomfortable, I don't know, or for me anyway, I was uncomfortable before that, but the next 15 minutes is just awful.
Relentless.
Really. Yes. As the son and father basically drag the teacher out to the barn. There is other things happen along the way with confrontations and everything, but basically the teacher gets dragged into the barn, gets put in with the dogs. To which we know there's something wrong in the barn. There's something.
Yeah, it's really clever, that bit. How they deal with that. I loved it.
There's something with the dogs. We don't know what it is. We find out that there is something in the barn because when the mom confronts the dad over the boy's behaviour, she mentions what you're doing with the barn is enough to put you in jail or something like that.
Yeah.
So it confirms your suspicions. Okay, there's something. What is in the barn? What's in with the dogs? Something's not right here.
At that point, I think he's been feeding people. He's been training attack dogs, and he's basically been feeding people to his dogs.
Okay.
That was my assumption completely at that point, which is why I loved the reveal.
And they put her in with the dogs, and the dogs are all tied up.
Yeah,
but
which I thought was a bit weird.
Yeah, which is, I don't know whether there's a cutscene in there that shows them tying them up or whatever. Because I'm assuming.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
I'm assuming the intention is that he wants the teacher to go to what we'll get to in a second. But you get the cutscenes where you see the rope's fraying, and you're like, oh, it's coming. The dogs are
going to get free. They're going to get her.
And then all of a sudden, I need to look this word up because I can't remember what the word is. The dad starts using the word anophthalmia.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get it at all. I meant to look up what they were talking about.
I didn't know what the word is.
No.
And I was like, what is what? But he keeps screaming that. He's like, don't go back there, anophthalmia, blah, blah, blah. And then you get the reveal, I guess, as to what is in the pen with the dogs. And it is basically a human being, or if you haven't looked up anophthalmia by now, it's reference to the congenital absence of one eye, or bilateral anophthalmia is the congenital absence of both eyes.
Ah, I see.
So what it seems, and in this case, it's both eyes obviously what's happened is, I'm assuming that this is one of his daughters that has been born this way, and he's put her in the barn, and basically she's been raised by dogs.
Yeah.
She's been raised like a dog, and we get the reveal, and this little kid goes to town on the teacher.
Raised like a wild dog, we should add, not a normal domesticated family pet.
This is not your Andrex puppy.
No.
This is your pit bull, your Rottweiler, your vicious. Up to you, not to say that they are all pit bulls and Rottweilers are vicious, but this is your stereotypical attack dog that will eat and kill its prey.
Yeah.
And that's what it does. And it's wow. It doesn't hold back. It's gruesome. It's grotesque. It's the special effects and the prosthetics are awesome.
Yeah.
And then as all this is going on, the daughter, the oldest daughter, basically gets the woman out of the cellar as well, and sets her free.
Because she realises she's got a lot of an axe to grind, and she's not big enough to do anything about this situation.
And the woman is going to come out and kick some ass.
Which you pretty much know from the beginning, that as soon as he ties her up and she looks at him the way she does, it's like, dude, she's going to kill you at some point.
Oh yeah, she's got an evil stare, and you know it's running through her head. If I get loose,
you're fucked.
You better run.
Yeah.
And yep, she gets loose, and basically what I then learned from looking up is, I wonder what she picks up is a lawnmower blade, which is attached into a log, and goes to town. The poor kid gets cut in half by this lawnmower blade, in an awesome scene. Because again, it doesn't really cut away. You see what's going on, and she.
I wouldn't say poor kid.
Oh,
he kind of had it coming as well.
He did, yes. And then the dad gets his comeuppance, shall we say. The end of the movie basically is dad dies, the son's dead, the oldest daughter wants to get her young baby sister as far away as possible, but unfortunately the woman's not going to let that happen.
Well, the woman has won the loyalty of the eyeless dog girl creature.
Yes, who's running around crazily at this point.
Yeah. But she basically treats her exactly like a dog, and or a wolf even, and a wolf will always go for the tastiest morsel. So she basically rips the dad's heart out with her bare hand, and basically, sit. Do you want this? Smell it? She's like, oh yeah, okay, sit. She doesn't say any of this, but it's all like implied, and then gives her the dad's heart to chow down on. And at that point, she now has a faithful lapdog.
Yes, and the daughter, the youngest daughter, has I don't know. She grabs a bottle of water for whatever reason. So the oldest daughter and the youngest daughter are running around trying to get out, and the woman stops them. Yeah. So the youngest daughter, she's just a little sweetie.
She is clueless.
Yeah,
untouched by anything yet.
Here you go, have the water. So there was okay, I'll drink some of the water. Gets on her hands, or no, she sucks one of her fingers or something like that. I can't remember. And then basically gives her bloodied finger to the younger daughter, in a way of, you will lick my finger, or suck my finger. To which the youngest daughter does, and seems to enjoy it, or likes the taste, or what's happening. And then the woman goes, okay, well, or doesn't go, but it's kind of like, okay, I'm taking you now. Kind of takes the young kid away, and the kind of closing shot from what I remember is, you see the woman with her little dog and turning down and reaching out for the hand of the daughter, and they walk away.
And they all live happily ever after. It's a happy ending. What more did you want?
Okay, and then when the first credit came up, and then I saw written by Jack Ketchum, I was like, okay, I've had some experience with you. I've watched The Girl Next Door. Not the Elisha Cuthbert
No,
one.
I know the one you mean. I haven't finished that movie yet, actually.
Which came to me when they were tying her up in the cellar. I was about like, this is very like The Girl Next Door.
Yes, of course. I didn't notice that, actually.
This is it's weird. Okay, I don't know if I can say I enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
I think it's one of those ones that I don't really know if enjoy is the right word. The level of acting within it, the level of makeup and effects and everything that was done in it was awesome.
Yeah.
The person that played the little lapdog towards the end was uncannily like a dog.
Yeah.
There was a lot of work that was studied. It looked as though there was a lot of work that was studied and things in there.
Yeah, definitely.
What really was freaking me out was the fact that I was kind of watching it and thinking about it at the end going, okay, there were kids involved in this movie, and they didn't really hide much from the kids. The kids get to see a lot of all this stuff and partake in all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god. And I was about getting more freaked out by the fact that there was kids in there.
I see.
And
Now I understand.
It wasn't just that it was a whole bunch of adults doing this. It was a whole bunch of, these are kid actors who had to go. And I'm sure they were protected, and there was long discussions that were had around this. This isn't real, and this is just a movie, and blah, 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 blah. But that has to have freaked them out at some point. It was freaking me out, and I can't imagine watching that going, holy fuck. This is some intense shit. But overall, the whole thing just kind of creeped me out a little bit. Because I'm sure was its intention. It's not there to glamorize anything. It wasn't there to.
No.
It's there to make you. My impression is it's deliberately done to make you feel uncomfortable. This stuff, maybe not potential civilizing of women, but these levels of violence and people taking over their families' lives and being controlling and stuff does exist, and that's the scarier part. Really, is that fuck. This isn't too far off reality in that respect. Yeah.
But what I liked about the way it was handled is it starts off, and even, taking the woman, I didn't find it kind of that disturbing, it says about me, but because it's almost tongue-in-cheek. The tone of the movie at that point is quite funny. Like I said, when she bites his finger off, I laughed. And his response to it's quite funny as well, in that it doesn't really faze him that much. And the way he's at work trying to hide his finger. And you think, this guy's a fucking moron. He's just stupid. And then it literally is in the last 20 minutes of the movie. You realise he's a monster.
Yes.
I mean, you get hints of it, and you see how... I mean, the point at which you see how scared of him his wife is. She has an opportunity at one point to just clock him round the head and let the woman go, and the woman can see it in her eyes. At that point, she's like, hit him, let me go. Mm-hmm. And she's just saying it with her eyes, And she chickens out and points out that, I don't know, a fixing's loose and the woman could escape, okay? At that point, her card is marked. That is why when the woman gets free, she kills the mother as well.
Yeah.
Because she realises all this happened because she wasn't strong enough to stand up to her husband. Okay, I know in abusive situations who's expected to be, but she had the opportunity to I don't know, man up, woman up, whatever, and didn't take it. So at that point, your ticket was punched. And those are the little bits, but it does a good job of being an entertaining movie up to that point, just to this kind of, this guy's mad. Mm-hmm. What is he doing? And it's just, this sort of, the creepiness just accelerates, and then at the end it just throws everything at you, including the kitchen sink. And I wasn't expecting it, because the tone of the movie up to that point wasn't that, and it's just 100% in your face. And I really appreciate it as a complete work for that. I guess maybe I should be concerned it didn't weird me out as much as you.
No, it's, I don't know.
Everybody's different.
Yes. The whole time I was watching this, I was going, what am I watching? What the hell am I watching? But I wasn't turning away from it. I was. There's a lot of people I can see who would watch this, and as soon as all this shit happened, would just turn it off.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because it's not there to make you comfortable.
No.
It's there to make you uncomfortable. It's there to push you to see how, I wouldn't say even to see how far it goes, because it could have went a lot worse in the depravity that it was going, but it doesn't shy away from anything. It's just like, this is the story we're telling, boom, 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 we're not turning away from you. There are parts where you hear more than you see, which, because you hear the fact that the son's beating up on the teacher, but you don't see it, which I quite liked.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need to see that. I knew the son was twisted, so I quite liked the fact that you didn't see it, because I was hoping that, again, in the back of my head, going, please don't make that son actually beat up on the teacher. This obviously is happening off screen, or it's a sound effect added in later, so the kid doesn't have to go to the levels of pretending to beat someone, because you don't actually see the kids doing anything.
No,
it's just all implied, or you see the after effects and everything like that. You don't see the kids physically abusing anybody, which is a good thing.
No, I mean, often they'll use cutaways and stand-in actors, and they're very clever how they deal with this stuff when the kids on set. Like I said, the experience for kids in horror films is very often it's the funnest thing they ever did, and they don't see the finished result until a lot of years later.
And then they go, "Oh yeah, that's me. I did that." Which I think with the kids, it made me more a bit. I don't know whether it's because I have kids now and things slightly change, and I'm like, oh my god, I wouldn't want my kids to be subject to that level of depravity or get involved in things like that. That might have slightly tweaked my reaction to it, but I wasn't surprised at all to find out that this was screened at Fright Fest. It's one of those ones that I could, when I watched it, the first thing I went and looked at really was, okay, this has to have been done at Fright Fest. This has to have been one of the ones they brought in here to say, okay, here's the movie this year which is going to make yous uncomfortable, or it's going to divide yous completely. That's the movies they seem to have for me. They're showing The Girl Next Door, they're showing this movie, they're showing Martyrs. There is this movie that they have every year, which is the divider, the one that you have to see, because this is what I expect. This is the type of movie I expect to see at a film festival like that.
Yeah.
This is the one I wouldn't. You're not going to watch this, or this isn't going to get shown at your local Cineworld or anything like that. This is going to be in your little independent theatre that might show this, or this is going to go straight to DVD, or this is going to make the festival circuits and go out there. This is why you go to film festivals people, to see this sort of movie with an appreciative crowd or an understanding crowd, and get exposed to movies like this. In my opinion, this is why these movies are made, and this is why you go to these festivals, because you're never going to get to see this unless people like us talk to you. Yeah, we should discuss that. Unless it's people like us that will watch these movies, and then you can make your mind up as to whether you want to watch it as a result or not. But we're the people that enjoy, in quotes, this type of horror.
Yeah.
This is horror at its finest, really. This isn't gore for gore's sake, boobs for boobs' sake, over-the-top slashiness, stupidity, cliches, all that stuff. This is pure horror to me.
Yeah.
But it wigged me out. I know I've talked a lot about this one, but wow, you did good, sir. You did good.
Good. I guess as long as it isn't, I'm never listening to your recommendations ever again.
No, you got me back. You were like, fuck you. You made me watch Martyrs.
Yeah, but I love Martyrs, so I thought this would be, because you like Martyrs. I thought this would be go.
This is the one I think out of the same. I think I tweeted to you that was like, I can't imagine what it would have felt like watching this in the big screen and then having to come out to the real world with a lot of people. Because when I walked out of Martyrs, I was a bit like, oh, okay, I have no idea what I just watched. I know it was the best movie of the festival so far, but I can't put it into words. I can't give it a 5 out of 5. I can't do anything. And this is the similar reaction that I'm having with this movie.
Okay.
Is that I can appreciate it, and give me 5 years' time, people will say, okay, what's one of your top 10 intense horror movies? This is going to be up near the top.
Oh, good.
At the moment, so yeah, you did good, sir. And I've read lots of reviews on it, and it has divided a lot of people.
Oh, I bet it has. But the funny thing is that we did the whole comedic thing about the boobometer and how we would rate things. It's like, because of the way the nudity is handled in this movie, it feels inappropriate to give it a rating at all. Because it's like, we talk about boobs in horror films as like it's a side thing. It's a diversion. It's kind of I don't know how you talk about it really, but in this case, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's there, but it's disturbing that it's there. There's no titillation involved in it whatsoever, and it's like if I gave it a rating, it would be wrong. So at the point we introduce it, we then find a film that's like, no, not doing that.
Oh yeah.
So
it's not the one where it comes out and the whole audience goes, "Yay!
Yay, boobs!" You just wouldn't.
Yeah,
no, not in this case. You're just like, kind of wrong, really wrong. Even from the first shot, actually, because is clearly somebody not part of normal society. So the fact that you can see what you can see is you'd feel wrong for looking. Anybody else normal spying or happening upon something like that, you'd feel wrong for looking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's that kind of situation. Very strange, but brilliantly done movie. And funny enough, I sort of went looking up Jack Ketchum stuff after that, and I started looking at what audiobooks are available, and I've actually downloaded one of those because he interests me as an author, and I've not actually read any of his books, so I thought, well, there's a good, I'll start. And I started reading the synopsis of what was available, and there's one called Ladies' Night, which basically he couldn't get published because he wrote it like back in the 80s, and it was just far too violent. Nobody would touch it with a barge pole. I'm like, oh, that's for me then. So I've downloaded that one. Premise being a big tanker truck goes through New York, crashes because it's in far too much of a hurry. This sickly sweet substance leaks out, and later on that evening, every woman within a certain radius of this spillage just becomes horny and psychopathic. And men die in many, many, many different ways. And so do some of the women when the men get the better of them. But it is just like, there's just chapter after chapter of, yeah, then he was eviscerated with this, and somebody had a television dropped on their head, and she had her eyes poked out, and it goes on and on, like, yeah, no shit, you couldn't get published in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I will let you know when I've finished that book, whether there is a sort of a redeeming element to it.
Because this is the third of his movies that I've seen.
Mm.
The Lost was one of them, from the Fright Fest.
I don't know that one.
You don't know that? I talked about it in our Fright Fest review.
I don't know, I watched it.
The Girl Next Door, and then The Woman. So
yeah.
I've got
I really, really must finish The Girl Next Door, even though I don't want to. I got to a certain scene, and I turned it off for another reason, and fully intended to go back to it. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'll just watch something else. I've done that about 4 times since. So.
I can appreciate that if you've stopped it, getting into the mindset to go back into it is going to be difficult to do it.
Yeah.
I got one question.
Okay.
Did your other half watch this?
No.
No. Okay.
No, she was asleep actually, and woke up at one point, and actually it was very embarrassing because at one point she woke up was the dad had just snuck out of bed, was going to go and have his, and she's like, what the fuck are you watching? I'm like, you're watching this scene out of context. You can't just watch this scene and judge me, okay? She went, okay, fine. Fell asleep again before all the gore happened.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, yeah, you're never watching that film.
Yeah, no, my wife came in about 2/3 of the way through it, and then she was like, "Whoa, what the fuck was that?" And I was like, "It's not for you. Yeah, you don't need to." I'm not.
No. Yeah, I don't want to give her any more nightmares. I already put her onto The Walking Dead, and she has a habit of just watching episode after episode. When she gets into something, she's like, I'm watching this till I'm finished. I was had like 2 nights dreaming about zombies. So I was like, that's not my fault. It is just that good. We should talk about that one week, but we're not going to do that now.
I haven't watched that yet, so.
Oh, it's good. It is good.
I need to get into it, but I haven't.
It takes a bit of perseverance, sort of halfway through, or well, most of the way through series 2, but it has merit all the way along. To be honest, it's just it has high points and slightly lower points.
Awesome.
But the way it's done, the makeup, the prosthetics, the zombie stuff is really well done. Cool. Really well done.
I'll definitely check it out at some point. I will.
Wow. So, I've been watching.
Yeah. Lighten the mood, please.
Okay, I'll lighten the mood. Right, my first one I want to talk about is one we mentioned on our fan footage show and wasn't available here. Actually, I spotted it on my list but hadn't been able to get hold of it. Since then, I have found and watched VHS.
Ooh, goody.
Now, you liked part of this movie, am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I loved the entire thing.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, there wasn't a point at which I went, I wish I hadn't put this bit in. I loved it, because at first I was thinking, this doesn't make sense. That it's this day and age, they've got these cameras, but they're watching VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And then you realise, well, no, hold on, this guy's wearing a pair of glasses with a camera in it. So all it is, some of this stuff is shot at really high quality. It's just where these guys have found these tapes. They're on VHS tapes for some unknown reason. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Once I realised where it was going and what it was doing. Just to explain, it's found footage, these guys running around terrorising people and for some reason shooting everything they do on a big old VHS camcorder and an SLR camera and I think a compact or something. So each guy's got a camera and it's kind of their thing. You think they're going to abduct a couple of girls in a garage. They all put face masks on and they run up. And literally what they do is they run up behind them, grab them from behind. You go, yeah, they're going to abduct them, put them in the car, take them away, do something mean to them. No, they literally just lift their top up, show their boobs to the camera and then run off again. So it's like, okay, these guys are pretty fucking weird, but okay.
Yep.
So then they start this conversation. Oh yeah, I know we want to make money from this. I think they're selling the videos. I think that's the conceit. Yeah. So they do this. They flash some boobs and they sell it to somebody. And he's going, well, I can make more money than that in one night. We just need to get this one tape. It's at this house. This bloke's told me about it. And they go to this house and there's an old dead guy sitting in an armchair facing a bank of about 5 or 6 monitors, which are all like white noise. And there's VHS tapes in the basement, on the side, they're everywhere. And they're like, shit, which tape is it? So a couple go downstairs, I think another one stays upstairs, and they just start watching these tapes. And when they watch a tape, you see what they watch on this tape. Mm-hmm. Not their camera filming the TV, but it actually just cuts away to it.
Yeah, which is very well done. I like that.
It is actually, yeah. And you get the blue screen that you get on a VHS recorder, which is kind of cool. And then, yeah, it's just short films, but you realise very quickly that these films are not normal.
No, they're not.
They take twists and turns, and I don't want to go into any of them specifically for a spoiler point of view, because I think people should watch this film, because it's snuck under the radar a little bit. Well, it seems to have here anyway. Hasn't made much of a splash, and I think it's a really good little concept. The problem often with fan footage movies is you've got a concept, you've got a setup, but very often they're not an hour and a half's worth of movie. You know, Wreck, fine, brilliantly done, but a lot of them you're just like, you could have wrapped that up quick. And what this film makes you realise is found footage horror works so well in like 10, 15 minute chunks.
Yeah. And
if we didn't know this already, that's been proven by bloody cuts.
Heck yeah.
With films like Don't Move. And this is you could do their compendium is very similar to this, I guess, but they're very different setups, very different things. And there's one of them I was like, oh, well, that's a bit crap. It's not. I'm not buying this. It's the one with the Skype video calls. Basically.
Yes.
And you think, but that was a full. Yeah, again, I don't want to spoil it, but you're just like, that was shit. But then that turns out that is the point. And at the end of that little clip, it was supposed to be, and you're like, clever. Mm-hmm. And the last film, I adored that. It was so well handled.
That was my favourite out of them all.
Yeah, it is brilliant. Just, again, I really want to talk about it, but I want to at least give let's say it now, people go watch, and then next time we talk about VHS, we'll probably spoil the shit out of it, because I really want to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I've actually got notes typed up on this movie. I do, honestly. They're weird type notes, but when we do talk about this properly, I will read you whatever written here, because it sums them all up in my weird sense.
What would work very well for us, as I've just found and watched today, the Red Band trailer for VHS 2, which is called SVHS, which is a brilliant idea for a title.
I noticed there was a VHS 2, and I wasn't quite sure how to feel about that one.
I've watched the trailer, it looks amazing, and some of the talent they've got involved this time round, I'm expecting a lot of the sequel.
Because the good thing with this is that each movie is... I haven't gone into too much depth on this, so I apologise if I'm incorrect, but each movie is directed by a different director.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that the fifth movie was Ty West.
Yes. Oh, yeah, exactly. He was involved with the overall concept, though, wasn't he?
I thought he directed one of them as well, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but the actual whole thing together, I think it was a lot of it was his brainchild sort of thing. I say he's impressed us before.
Yes.
So. But yeah, if you can get hold of VHS, I know if you're in the States, it is readily available on Netflix. You can go and watch it on there. Really good. Obviously, the reason we like Ty West is he also directed House of the Devil.
Yep.
Which have we talked about? I think we did.
We haven't. I think we might have mentioned it,
okay.
but we haven't talked about it. It's one of the ones that if we ever do more of my Fright Fest things, that it would appear in there. But I love that movie.
Yeah, I did as well, actually. Funny enough, more so since having watched it. Because I had that thing where you talked about it, and I was like, it was okay when I finished watching it, you know, because somehow I was expecting something more. And then the more I thought about it afterwards, the more I realised just how good it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I would like to cover that, and it's a good excuse for me to watch it again.
Yeah.
And then do it more justice in the review. So, yeah, that was one of my watches this week, I'd say. And I think we should watch VHS 2 and then do a show on both.
That works, yeah.
Would be a good idea. I think it comes out this year, so...
Yeah, so I had a 2013 release day on it, so...
Yeah, so that'll be cool. And I would like to just say, on the subject of VHS, that VHS was the inspiration for the Boober meter. Because VHS scores a heavy 7 to 8 out of 10 on the Boober meter for me. Every opportunity to legitimately cram some in, they did. And it's like, well, fair play. You're doing a horror film. You've got different directors. And let's face it, found footage really... You know, somebody's walking around with a camera. He goes to a hotel with his girlfriend. What's the first thing he's going to try and do? Did I leave the camera? Oh, no, I'm sorry, my dear. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of it's a bit lascivious, but it is, you know... it's done for a reason. So.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The VHS birth meter. Okay. And I think my other films will have to fall into the B is for Boz category, I think.
A is for apple. B is for
Buzz.
C is for crayons. D is for drum.
Like scrotum, here it is in a nutshell.
I did promise that this is one I was going to do, and I have subjected myself to it. And I remember your very first sort of comments from Fright Fest on this film. It's is it Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl, or the vice versa? I always get the versus films wrong way round. Have you noticed?
I don't really think it matters on this one, to be honest.
I think it is Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl. It is one of the biggest what the fuck movies I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If it was like day 2 or 3 or 4 Fright Fest, you must have been like, was there something in this Coke? Did I drink a strange concoction of... Am I somehow tripping?
I believe
I know
this
Japanese...
was... Sorry.
Sorry?
I said I believe this was the Saturday night movie.
Right.
So I had been through Thursday night, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and this was a Saturday night movie.
Oh, that was just mean, really. I mean, Japanese horror very often is completely off the wall, and we just... there are some things really are lost in cultural translation, and in this case, there were several examples of that. The bit I think that made me feel the most uncomfortable was the whole school scene, where they're all sitting in class, and it's Valentine's Day, and the teacher's going around confiscating chocolates off of everybody. And you see how the class is made up. And it's the, I've got to remember this word now, the Ganguru girls? Excuse me, lost my voice there. In fact, I did have to, I had to go and look it up on Wikipedia. Because it made me feel so uncomfortable. Okay. A Ganguru girl, yeah. Or Yamamba. Oh no, redirects here, sorry. Okay, right. Ganguru is an alternative fashion trend among young Japanese women. Why could I not speak today? 2 districts in Tokyo were the centres of the Ganguro fashion, and it was started by rebellious youth who contradicted the traditional Japanese concept of beauty, pale skin, dark hair, and neutral makeup tones. Ganguro instead tanned their skin, bleached their hair, and used a lot of colourful makeup. much like many people in the UK nowadays. And there's a picture at the top of a couple of these girls, and it's like it's heavy tan culture, right? There's this little group in this film call themselves Ganguro Girls, but they don't call themselves that till a bit later, and they're basically completely blacked up with afros and overly large lips and nose. One of them's got a plate in her lip like a tribal lady, and you're like, I'm sorry, what the fuck is going on here? This just seems rather horribly inappropriately racist at this point. And it turns out they're satirising these girls, these Ganguro girls who've done this thing, and but they've gone to the next step. But it's not funny.
No.
Maybe if you're Japanese, it's funny, but it really isn't funny. It just made me feel really uncomfortable. It made me feel more uncomfortable than the opening scene where Vampire Girl slices and dices 3 Frankenstein girls and stacks their skulls into a neat little pile. And just with gallons and gallons of spraying blood, as you would expect in one of these movies. I would sort of go through the synopsis. I thought it'd be funny to do it like the whole Evil Dead versus Shinobi thing I did the other week.
Yeah.
And sort of try and explain what happened. But I can't. I think my brain just sort of zoned out at some point. It did not make any sense. I mean, there were bits that made me laugh out loud. The whole school deputy head is a mad scientist who, when he goes into his lair, turns into Sergeant Kabuki Man and starts cutting up corpses, stitching them back together in a way that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But they do that. There's lots of them. Can we do it? Yes, we can. I don't know if they're Obama references or what. Chopping up this body, stitching stuff together, and then they pan out, and there's just this face with I don't know, a ring of flesh around it. Just like 2 feet sticking out where his ears should be. What the fuck is this movie? It was dreadful. I was hoping I could love it, but no. Sorry.
I don't. It's like the second movie I've seen of, I think, what was the first one? Tokyo Gore Police.
Yes.
I think was the very first one.
That made more sense.
And both of these movies were viewed at like midnight on Saturday after 2 full days of watching movies, and I was sleeping. I mean, I couldn't keep my eyes open, so it's hard enough to understand, especially when you don't understand what the hell's going on. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just giving in. It was my second year at Fright Fest, and I was like, I'm giving in. This is the movie I'm giving into. And I'm just going to nod off and let it go. And I'll wake up and I'll watch some blood and stuff and understand what the fuck's going on, and then I'll go back to sleep again. And it just nothing made any sense to me. It has to be a cultural thing, but I don't understand how. I just don't understand what is it that's ingrained in Japanese people that they can make this type of movie and enjoy it. I don't know. It's stupid.
Kind of the love letters to trauma, as far as I see it. If you understand the trauma movie side of things, then it seems to be very much in the same vein. But it does make a trauma movie look like a masterpiece.
But yeah, I mean, all I can remember from it is just they must have used probably 1 billion gallons of blood.
Yeah.
In the first
spray
scene.
everywhere.
It's just, it's completely over the top, and that gets a little bit funny and giggles and everything like that. And again, they don't shy away from the kills. It's I'm going to chop someone in half, and I'm going to show you chopping in half, and we're going to take away from maybe oh my god, did I just see someone get chopped in half with? Here's the hilarity of 1 billion gallons of blood, and it takes away from any realism bit they could even have killed a real person for all I know. And that's why it looks so freaking real. But you just throw in whole gallons of blood and it's funny. Hey, they killed someone. Hey, it's hilarious.
Some of it's terrible though. So even the prosthetics at some points you're just like, oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think the bit that I found the most funny out of abstract thing was there's a fight going on at the bottom, and then there's like a fake Eiffel Tower thing where the big fight at the end occurs.
Yeah.
And a wooden cross is used quite a lot in this movie, and it gets fired through the roof of the building downstairs. and hits this steel tower with so much force that wood embeds in steel. I'm like, no. That's the bit that took me out of it. So, no, that wouldn't happen. Don't worry about the fact that the Frankenstein girl is at the top of this tower. She has taken 2 ankles and screwed them together with these little living screws that are what hold her together, and then placed it in top of her head so it spins round and allows her to fly with a helicopter type motion. She then gets impaled on a load of metal, then incorporates this metal into her body and puts her arms on the end of these 2 long bits of metal and flies around with ankle helicopter head. What?
Yeah.
I think the only way to enjoy these movies properly is you've got to take something very illegal and sit down and just let it wash over you. I'm sorry, that's all I can say. Dreadful.
I think that's a fair point.
Now, so I have to... Also, in the Beers for Boz category, I watched another movie, because I'm thinking, all I've done for Beer for Boz is I've watched these films and then slagged them off. There's got to be something with some merit. You know what I put on next?
No.
And along the Versus theme, because the last 2 movies have been a Versus, let's do another Versus film. I put on Cockneys versus Zombies.
Oh, God, you didn't, did you?
It's brilliant.
Really?
It's brilliant.
No, yeah, you're having me on. You're going to make me watch this, and I'm going to regret it.
It's not okay. It's not. It's don't get me wrong. It is not a masterpiece, but it is not a low-budget piece of shit either.
Really?
It's got pretty good production values. It's only a 15. It's not a throw all the blood at the wall sort of a thing.
Yeah.
It's more about the sort of the character, the situation, and don't get me wrong. There are still some good intestinal rippings and face gougings and head and decapitations and all that, but it's the whole sort of funny Cockney geezer thing that they do with it, and it's not annoying Guy Ritchie. It is sometimes, but the basic conceit is these young kids basically are trying to pull a bank job, including their cousin, who happens to be the girl who was in her Michelle Ryan. Is it? She was the $1 Million Woman in the remake thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Habana.
Fairly easy on the eye, I must say.
We get a ranking on the boobometer.
We get a 1.5 on the boobometer for some sunbathing side boob of a random person who is an undefined character, unfortunately. But it's made awesome by the fact that it's Richard Briers from The Good Life playing an 85-year-old at an old people's home, leching at the girl in the next door garden with a pair of binoculars, which is just brilliant.
I like it. In fact, I love it.
So, yeah. So these guys are doing this bank heist is one part of the story. Then the other part of the story is at this old people's home. You realise that their granddad is at this old people's home, and he's an old gangster, retired, tucked away. And there's a building company who are going to shut down the old people's home, and he's not very happy with them. And comes in, this guy sort of goes, "Look, I know you're shutting this place down in a few weeks, but you have to fucking rub it in by standing there doing that. Get your ass out of here before I stick that notepad so far up your ass you'll have to stick a pencil down your nose to write on it." And it's loads of little comments like that. You've got the old geezer in a wheelchair who does Cockney rhyming slang but gets it wrong. She's like, "Oh, my apples and pears are killing me." What do you mean your apples and pears are killing you? And then he goes through a massive list of how apples and pears gets back to his legs killing him. Right. And just brilliant scenes like the zombies are coming and they're trying to get out, and the old guy, the classic, "I think I'm okay. Oh no, that zombie's not quite dead. He's going to grab my ankle with both hands and bite in the middle." Mm-hmm. That happens. You're like, "Oh no, he's dead." And he just looks around and he goes, "Wrong leg, silly bollocks." Rips his leg off because it's a false leg and caves the zombie's head in with his false legs. And it's just little lines like that just make you burst out laughing. And the point at which Richard Briers gets an Uzi 9mm gaffer taped to his Zimmer frame so he can use it, you're like, I love this movie. It's brilliant. It's a complete B movie, but it is done so lovingly of the genre and so knowingly, and just the pensioners firing fully automatic weapons at zombies is brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
I really enjoyed it, and I didn't expect to. I expected to cringe and go, "Oh, Guy Ritchie, you've got so much to answer for. This is dreadful, blah, blah, blah." No, I really enjoyed it.
That's fantastic. There's this one that's going to translate over the pond.
To a point, yes. Okay. There is a lot of British humour to it, but given how much people seem to love... I mean, if they like... Lock, Stock did well over there, didn't it? If that did well, this will do well. It's as simple as that. But it's... Honor Blackman's in it. Richard Briers. Yeah, just brilliant.
So they get some fairly big names then.
Yes, oh no, the cast list is huge, and the bit I love is like they're all managed to get into the kitchen. The zombies have attacked the old people's home. They're like, "Where's Brian?" "Oh, he was outside taking a kip." And they look out the window, and he's just there on his sunbed in the back garden with his hat on, in his dressing gown and slippers, and there's zombies all around him. They go, "Brian, come in! There's zombies everywhere." What? Because he's deaf as a post, he can't hear him. So he sort of looks around and goes, oh God, it's a zombie. So he gets up, gets his Zimmer frame, and there's a race back to the house between Richard Pryor's and the slow-moving, decimated zombies limping after him. And he's like, "Oh, it's going to get me." And like for ages, just slow steps with his Zimmer frame and just coming up behind him.
Oh, brilliant.
Really well done. Really well done.
I'm going to have to look out for that one.
So surprised I enjoyed it. I really was. So
I imagine with a few beers, that will make it even better.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I mean, it's if you were going to have a load of mates around to watch a stupid horror movie, then it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a really cheesy sort of, we love the East End of London sort of thing.
Yeah,
but,
oh yeah.
In fact, there's a scene halfway through, I'm spoiling some of the gags, but they come out of this place and there's like two rival factions of zombies in the street. And they're like, and they're all walking to each other. And he's like, "Fucking hell. Even when they're dead, they hate each other." Half of them are wearing Chelsea shirts, the other half are wearing West Ham shirts. And they all just start to, like, stab each other with shivs really badly and just lamely hitting each other. And, like, the soundtrack's, "I predict a riot." You know, it's really knowingly done.
So it's done with love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to like your horror, and you've got to, find Cockneys a bit amusing.
Yeah.
Which I do. It only gets a 5.9 on IMDb, but I think it deserves a little bit higher than that. So.
That's what you would expect it to be, though, roughly, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sounds about right. That's good.
Yeah, so you've got Michelle Ryan, Jack Doolan, Alan Ford, Honor Blackman, Tony Selby, Georgina Hale, Dudley Sutton, Richard Bryars, Natalie Walker, Phil Cornell. Some of those names will stand out to people, but yeah, there's a lot of, "Oh, I know that bloke. Oh, I know that bloke."
Yeah.
So, Dominic Burns is in it, and he gets hit by a bus as zombie number 2.
No way. What is it with this fucker keeping turning up in this show?
Why is he always in Beers for Boz? Is what I want to know.
There's a reason he's always in Bees for Bod. At least he gets hit by a bus, you bastard.
Yeah, but you can see by the circles he's moving in is why he's getting money for a budget. Oh, there's a great Dexter Fletcher little cameo bit as well.
Oh, you got to have Dexter Fletcher in it.
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things I loved is at the beginning, while they're establishing the characters, they go, "Yeah, but you always do this," and then they do the flashback thing to put it in context.
Right.
Which sometimes really doesn't work, but in this case, the flashbacks are nearly always hilarious. And he's just going, "Oh, you always seem to come up smelling the roses, and you're so lucky," and always going, and you always get this into trouble. And he just gives his flashback, and he's like, "Come on in, you fucker! I'll take you on. I'm my brother," and he just keeps getting him into fights. It's good.
I'm going to definitely have to look out for that one. So yeah.
Maybe it just matches my bad taste in movies, but hopefully some other people will enjoy it as well. But it's like Shaun of the Dead, but less clever.
Okay.
But with just way more fun to it, I think. So
a recommendation.
Similar sort of thing, though. Yeah. My Beers for both.
Yeah. We got a good one as well. Potentially.
Yeah.
So, but Dominic Byrne did pop up again. Anyway.
Yes, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Your favourite person.
And I think on that note, that's probably a good place to bring this one to a conclusion. I have went kind of long. I apologise. My ramblings on the woman. But I had to get it out there. It was one I had to talk about, so I apologise, people. Hopefully you found it some sort of interesting. And haven't just cut out like 3/4 of the show. Sorry. But as always, as we mentioned at the beginning, please do send in any feedback that you have on any of the shows that we talked about, or even give us recommendations. Come on, people. Yes. There have to be things you'd like to hear us talk about, rather than us just randomly choosing stuff off of our queues or whatever we'd like to talk about. So please get them into thelittlepodofhorrors@gmail.com, or drop us a tweet, which is @podofhorrors, or go find us on Facebook and Google Plus and all that fun stuff.
We're on all of those.
Yes, exactly.
Also, if you spot any cool trailers, we're always interested to see upcoming stuff, so we can plan stuff in to go see. Incidentally, I watched the Riddick trailer today, and there's another one which looks very interesting called Europa Report, which is hopefully the Apollo 18 antithesis.
Really?
Space horror. Let's hope they get it right this time.
Oh,
so
God.
interesting. Go look at those and let us know what you think of those in advance.
I haven't seen the Riddick one, but it did start out well. Pitch black space horror, awesome.
Yeah, it looks to me very much like they've gone back to that. So that's why I've said go look at it, because from the trailer it looks like it fits the horror genre nicely.
Cool. I haven't seen any of the other ones. I stopped. I didn't hear good reviews, but I shall definitely check out that trailer. As you know, I like my trailers and look for good stuff to come up. So, yes. Yeah. So please send in anything you think may be of interest to us. Anything. Books, movies, trailers, the lots. We will always accept all recommendations. It might take us a while to do it, but please. We're not the time wasting people. But as always, sir, I want to thank you for another entertaining show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. And we shall speak to you all soon. Bye.
Goodbye. You muppet!
If you would like to send an email to the show, please do so at thelittlepodofhorrors@gmail.com. Also, why not go along to the website at www.thelittlepodofhorrors.com, and from there you can find links to our Twitter, Facebook, Google+, forum and blog page. Thanks for listening.